And activists join a protest condemning attacks on press freedom. The government suspends the deployment of Filipino workers to Kuwait as it considers imposing a total deployment ban to the country following OFW abuses. And we take a look at one of the country's biggest and most colorful festivals, the Sinulog, happening in Cebu. Good afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Thanks for joining us. Our top story, a call for press freedom in last night's Black Friday protest. Journalists, activists, and members of the academe gathered to condemn attacks on media. The event follows the Securities and Exchange Commission's revocation of Rappler's license to operate over press foreign ownership issues.
We're going to hold the line. We're going to stand firm. We're going to answer the charges. We have nothing to be afraid of. We haven't done anything illegal, and we condemn these actions as attempts to try to turn journalism into a crime.
Media groups say the move against the online news agency is a form of oppression and harassment. University of the Philippines mass communications professor Danilo Arao compares this to the press situation during the martial law era.
This is very much reminiscent of martial law, albeit in a very sinister and silent manner. The Duterte administration is being creative in terms of harassing and intimidating the media, but there is also the brutality, the bullying tactics, and the crassness. Right now, he might end up as being worse than Marcos.
Rappler's legal problems are piling up. The online news agency is also under investigation for alleged violation of the anti-cybercrime law. Anjo Alimario has more.
Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre ordered the National Bureau of Investigation to look into Rappler's possible violations of the Constitution and related laws. This is in connection with the Securities and Exchange Commission decision revoking Rappler's registration over ownership and control issues. A day after NBI subpoena against Rappler CEO Marerefund and two others came out. But NBI Cybercrime Division Chief Manuel Eduarte is quick to point out there's no link between the two.
Yung timing is not within our control. We are already investigating this case when the issue about the second Rappler crop up. And the instruction by the DOJ for us to conduct proof.
Businessman Wilfredo Keng filed the online libel complaint against Reza and former Rappler reporter Reynaldo Santos in October last year. The NBI also summoned businessman Benjamin Bitanga. The complaint stemmed from a 2012 story written by Santos linking Keng to former Chief Justice Renato Corona. Keng allegedly lent his SUV to Corona. Eduarte says his office received Keng's complaint affidavit on October 13, 2017. The subpoenas, though, were only issued last January 10, a day before SEC handed down its controversial decision. But why was Bitanga included?
There is allegation against his interest also, or probability of involvement dito sa case pending before us.
Eduarte explains the 2012 article is still covered by the anti-cybercrime law, even if the story was published before the law was enacted.
So even if it was posted, first posted on 2012, but it can still be seen, diba, hanggang doon sa time na nagreklamo sila, or at the time of the effectivity of cybercrime law. So, ang aming presumption, as far as investigation is concerned, they still violated ng cybercrime law.
The Cybercrime Division Chief points out they're not compelling anyone to appear on January 22nd, but
voluntary o walang compulsion. Only that, ito sana yung opportunity nila na mapakinggan namin.
Reza said in an interview with CNN Philippines that this is part of an effort to take Rappler down and on press freedom. She will also comply with a subpoena and appear before the NBI on Monday. Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Teresita Herbosa makes it clear the decision to revoke Rappler's business registration is legally sound. She downplays allegations it was an attack on press freedom. She challenges Rappler to prove its claim the decision was politically motivated.
Whoever, didn't get what they wanted from us, maybe they wanted us to say that the PDRs are legal, then they have their own agenda. they'll probably resort to things like that in order to what? Divert people's attention to what was the real issue.
In other news, Health Secretary Francisco Duque announces French pharmaceutical company Sanofi Pasteur has refunded over 1 billion pesos worth of Dengvaxia vaccines. He says the company issued a check on Thursday. Sanofi, however, clarifies the reimbursement has nothing to do with vaccine quality. Last week, the health department wrote a demand letter to the company to refund unused vials of the dengue vaccine. In a separate letter, the agency also requested Sanofi to shoulder the cost of diagnostic testing of more than 800,000 people, mostly children, who received Dengvaxia. Let's check on Mayon volcano. After several days of unrest, thousands of families have been displaced, and now some of them are complaining of sanitary problems and other health issues in evacuation centers. Our Makoy Popioco is in Albay for the latest. Makoy, tell us what's going on there now.
The threat of Mayon volcano erupting is still high. That's what authorities announced in their latest briefing. Mayon remains on alert level 3, level 5 is the highest. Now, PHIVOLCS volcanologists say the lava continues to flow out of Mayon's crater. The lava flow has reached 3 kilometers toward Biisi in the town of Daraga. There was less volcanic activity over the past 24 hours. However, volcanologists clarified that less volcanic activity does not mean the volcano is already calm. Over 25,000 residents remain in the evacuation centers. At Upper Malabog Elementary School in Daraga, evacuees complain of the lack of toilets. Resident Maylina Lupo says the classrooms have their own restrooms, but they can only use them for urinating, not for defecating. Lupo says residents have to go back to their homes not only to use the toilet, but also to do chores, to cook, feed their animals, and tend their farms. Their communities are part of the 7-kilometer extended permanent danger zone. Authorities continue to remind them to stop frequenting the areas. Meanwhile, authorities say they have already built around 190 sanitary toilets in some schools. Officials say they are still waiting for some more funds from the national government to put up around 300 additional toilets. Officials have also set up health stations in every evacuation centers. Now, doctors say respiratory problems remain the most common ailments among the evacuees. Authorities remind the residents to observe proper sanitation and maintain the cleanliness of the evacuation centers to avoid the spread of diseases. Maya.
Makoy, there were several eruptions in recent years, but how alarming is this one? Have authorities explained how long will Mayon keep acting up?
Well, PHIVOLCS volcanologist Mariton Bornas says it's hard to make a definite assessment as to how long the unrest would last. She says the volcano is so unpredictable that they can only make daily assessments. But if you base it from the history of unrest of Mayon, the shortest duration was in 2009. It was only 18 days. But in other cases, the unrest dragged on for a month up to 4 months. So Bornas says that it's really unpredictable now. It may last for some more weeks, even months. Mai.
Thank you. Makoy Popioco, live from Albay. Let's talk about a photo of Mayon going viral. This is ash formation around the restive volcano. It looks like a man and a woman embracing. Netizens are reminded of the legend of Magayon and Panganoron, which tells of a couple who died fighting for their love. And this led to the creation of Mayon volcano. The photo was taken by Siriaco Santiago III and uploaded on Facebook. It has drawn thousands of reactions online, including questions on whether it was photoshopped. Well, still ahead, find out what PNP Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa has to say about entering politics. And we bring you highlights of the Sinulog Festival happening in Cebu. Back after a quick break. Keep it here on CNN Philippines.
Four, five,
Newsroom on CNN Philippines. Welcome back. Stories from the region. Santo Niño devotees participate in a fluvial procession in Cebu as part of the annual Sinulog Festival. Cebu-based journalist Dale Israel is on the line. Dale, how's the celebration going so far?
Yes, Mai, we have a very fun weather here in Cebu today, and about 100 boats joined this morning's annual fluvial procession for the Feast of the Señor Santo Niño at the Mactan Channel. Devotees waited by the shores of Mactan Channel as the Santo Niño was paraded around the Cebu harbor. Some danced to the beat of the Sinulog, while others waved at the holy image of the child Jesus. It started on Friday when the image was brought to Lapu-Lapu City via a motorcade passing by Mandawi's Shrine of St. Joseph. From there, the image of the Holy Child Jesus was brought back to Cebu City in a fluvial procession. The Santo Niño was placed on board Philippine Navy's BRP Agta. It was the first time a Navy ship was used to transport the Santo Niño. The Navy ship acted as the Spanish galleon that brought the Santo Niño, the oldest Christian relic in the country, to Cebu. Another procession as for the Fiesta Señor will happen this afternoon, and tomorrow a grand parade will take place. Security is tight all over Metro Cebu this weekend as thousands are expected to participate in the event. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Dale Israel, reporting from Cebu City. After rolling out its passport on wheels, the Foreign Affairs Department now launches a portal that exclusively caters to first-time overseas Filipino workers applying for passports. Camille Abadisho with the details.
These women from Mindanao are set to leave for the Middle East to try their luck as overseas Filipino workers. First-time OFW Amina waited 4 months just to get her passport.
Mahirap, pero nagporsige para makakuha lang po ng passport.
Sa Davao po ako unang nagkuha ng passport, sa DFA po ng Davao. Napakahirap po kasi mano-mano po yung pagkuha. Hindi gaya ngayon na may mga online.
But the Department of Foreign Affairs initiates a quicker way for overseas Filipino workers to secure passport appointments, an online portal dedicated for first-time OFWs.
Ang kinaganda talaga ng portal, meron ng guaranteed slot yung mga agency na mag-a-apply ng passport netong mga tao na to. At hindi ka na, doon siguradong walang corruption. Walang fixer, sila mismo diretso.
So unlike the portal for those who are not provided by law to have a special lane, no? Nakalagay lang kung anong araw ang available. Sa inyo, kahit anong araw, okay siya.
DFA has registered over 100 licensed recruitment agencies, each given a username and password to the portal on the DFA website.
Nanawagan yung mga travel agencies, no, na ibalik yung slot nila. I'm sorry, we cannot do that. Pasensya na po kayo kasi kung kayo bibigyan ng allotment, marami din ibang hihingi ng allotment. Babalik na naman tayo sa dati na napakaraming exception, napakaraming bintang na pag dito may bayad, dito wala, etc. No?
Once the recruitment agency logs in, it can proceed with setting an appointment for first-time OFWs. Licensed recruitment agencies are automatically given at least 6 slots per day. Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano says travel agencies continue to ask to get their passport appointment slots back. But Cayetano says they have decided to prioritize OFWs. Cayetano reminds overseas Filipino workers that aside from the portal for new applicants, they can enjoy the OFW courtesy lane to renew their passports. Camille Abadisho, CNN Philippines.
The Foreign Affairs Department is studying the possibility of a total deployment ban to Kuwait following reports of abuses on OFWs. Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano says he will meet with the ambassador of Kuwait on Monday to discuss the country's concerns. President Duterte raised the possibility of a total ban on Wednesday, and Cayetano confirms he discussed this with the president.
Sinabi niya, pag-aralan niyo yung ban. Ang problema natin kasi may mga lugar like Iraq na may ban tayo pero nagdadagsaan pa rin yung Pilipino. So we have to weigh that, no? But I'm expecting a good response from the ambassador, but of course we have to see the response translate into action, meaning protection of our OFWs.
The Labor Department earlier directed the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, or POEA, to suspend the processing and issuance of employment certificates as they investigate the deaths of 7 Filipinos in Kuwait. Meanwhile, the DFA confirms it has turned down a request from a group of French researchers to conduct marine scientific research in Palawan. Earlier, Magdalo Party List Representative Gary Alejano said the French NGO was denied access to Benham Rice, where a Chinese group was allowed. Secretary Cayetano, however, clarifies the areas that the French and the Chinese groups applied for are different. He adds the Chinese ship was able to comply with the requirements. Cayetano says President Duterte has expressed his general approval to allow any country to conduct research in Philippine seas as long as they follow the law. Airport authorities will terminate airline service provider Mia Score after repeated incidents of baggage theft. Our Rex Remitio tells us the government wants this to serve as a warning to others to improve their baggage handling services or face punishment.
A few weeks ago, Balikbayan Jovenil de la Cruz lost more than 80,000 pesos worth of items after his baggage was pilfered. This got the ire of President Duterte, who immediately called for the termination of the contract of airline service provider Miascor.
I would demand that there will be justice instant. Kung sino yung service provider dyan, you terminate the contract and look for another one.
6 Miascor personnel admitted to stealing the luggage. They are now facing theft charges. Miascor is one of the many airline service providers that operates in the country's major airports. Airline companies get their services on handling of baggages, cargoes, warehousing, and in-flight catering. Miascor has 39 airline clients, including flag carrier Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific. But since Miascor's accreditation is now gone, airline companies must get a new service provider. Manila International Airport Authority General Manager Ed Monreal says passengers have nothing to worry about. Miascor has 2 months to wind down its operations as airline firms look for a new provider.
Kailangan huminto ang itong mga pangyayari dahil sa unang-una ang nabibiktima at nagkakaroon ng mga insidente ay ang mga pasahero natin sa paliparan.
The MIAA is now imposing stricter guidelines for baggage handlers. Uniforms and pants with pockets as well as large boots are prohibited. Using mobile phones and wearing jewelry are also not allowed while on duty. They must also wear body cameras from now on. Passengers, meanwhile, must hand-carry valuable items, use sturdier luggage, ensure locks are closed, and put plastic wraps if possible. Rex Remitio, CNN, Philippines.
Miascor management says they regret what happened at Clark Airport and they've fired those involved in the incident. Criminal and administrative charges have also been filed against those at fault. They will also appeal to President Duterte to reconsider his position as almost 4,000 employees and their families will be affected. In other news, National Police Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa speaks up on the possibility of entering politics. But de la Rosa tells CNN Philippines if he were to do so, he'd rather go local instead of seeking a Senate seat. The PNP chief ranked among the top 20 senatorial picks in a recent social weather station survey for the 2019 elections.
Open ako sa lahat, but sa ngayon hindi ko iniisip yan. Hindi ako nag-iisip dahil focus muna ako dito sa aking 3 months extension at saka after this mag-bucor pa ako. Focus muna ako sa trabaho ko. Mas gusto ko yung local siguro.
Naisip ko din yun, sir. Alright.
Yung mas direkta yung tulong mo doon at saka yung serbisyo mo doon sa yung mga kababayan mo.
Right.
Catch his full interview on the replay of The Source later at 3 p.m. Pope Francis officiates an impromptu wedding on board the papal plane. The bride and groom are flight attendants whom the Pope began chatting with during his flight from Santiago, Chile. The Pope found out they had a civil marriage when the church they planned to marry at was destroyed in an earthquake in 2010. The Vatican says it was the first time a Pope married a couple on a papal plane. still ahead. A Filipino boxer is set to debut on American soil. And guess who's the first ever host of the Screen Actors Guild Awards? More stories when Newsroom Weekend returns. To our viewers on Facebook Live, magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat. Maikli lang po itong gap na to, 1 minute lang sabi nila. So babatiin ko na kayo, si June Nuevas Noliora is watching us from Riyadh. Alex Leon de Catriz watching from Jeddah. And si Marlon, ang stringer natin sa Visayas, is watching. Marlon Pañares, thank you for joining us today. Mainit na discussion ngayon sa Facebook Live. Ito, ang dami nagko-comment sa top story natin na yung Black Friday protest kagabi at yung pag-dismiss o pag-revoke ng license sa Rappler. Remember the SEC's decision to revoke Rappler's license to operate. Marami pong nagko-comment. I just appeal that you all have a sound and reasonable discussion on this, guys. Ang dami lang comments. The newsroom's back with more stories. An extension of the MRT3 will soon connect Metro Manila and Bulacan. That's welcome news for commuters heading to northern provinces. But before that happens, we should brace for heavier traffic as construction of the MRT7 begins. AC Nichols reports.
On a typical working day, motorists and commuters alike expect traffic buildup on North Avenue in Quezon City. But the ordeal will get tougher. Traffic will get heavier as workers begin the construction of the MRT7. An average of 41,000 vehicles pass through North Avenue daily.
Rereklamo tayo, traffic yan, mga ganyan. Wala tayong masisimulang infrastructure. So ibig sabihin, habang buhay na tayo magtsatsaga, padami ng padami, congested na ang Manila.
Workers will begin the installation of rail tracks towards Quezon City Memorial Circle. Heavy equipment and materials will move in, while fences will be put up by 6 p.m. on January 20th. Construction begins midnight the next day, January 21st. The first phase will cover the streets from here at Veterans Memorial Medical Center to Agham Road. 2 lanes in the center of North Avenue will be blocked off, leaving 3 lanes going to QC Circle and 2 lanes going to EDSA, passable to motorists. Motorists are advised to take alternate routes.
Wala tayong tuloy naman ng government natin na project proyekto ng gobyerno natin yan di maganda rin. Pagtiyaga lang muna natin yung traffic.
Wala tayong magagawa pagka ganun Kung kinakailangan
The MMDA is coordinating with the MRT7 Traffic Management Task Force to make sure workers will be limited to 2 lanes.
Kung kakayanin naman natin na kahit paano mai-squeeze natin kapag naitayo na natin yung hanggang sa poste na stage, ililiitan natin yung working area kasi hindi naman na ganun kalaki yung mga equipment na gagamitin.
The MRT7 is expected to be completed by 2019. Its line will span 22.8 kilometers from San Jose del Monte in Bulacan Province to North Avenue. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
In sports, 2023 might be so far away, but UAAP champion 30 Ravenna has something to look forward to 5 years from now. Our correspondent Paulo Del Rosario has more.
Yes, Mai, that's because we might see Ateneo standout 30 Ravenna soon in a Giras Pilipinas uniform. 30 is among the 23 men who may just play for the country in the 2023 FIBA World Cup. Among those included in the 2023 training pool are basketball sensation Kobe Paras and NCAA champion Robert Bolick. Ravenna tells us why he's excited to possibly suit up for Gilas in 2023.
I can't believe that I was chosen to be part of the 23 because I thought it was just like 2014 when we were just supporting and watching Gilas, sila Kuya Jason, sila Kuya Japet against yung Korea, nanalo sila, and now to be given the chance to actually practice beside them and to be part of the candidates for 2023, it's still such a blessing for me.
We have more of the week's top sports stories on Sports Desk Weekend. I'm Paulo De Rosario. Back to you.
Jerwin Ancajas could be the next big thing in Philippine boxing. And a golden opportunity awaits him next month when he will have his first fight on American soil. Paulo Del Rosario takes us inside the young boxer's training camp.
In the remote areas of Magallanes, Cavite is a small boxing gym behind a house that's still a few months away from getting completed, called the Survival Camp. Filipino boxing champion Jerwin Pretty Boy Ancajas trains in this facility for his upcoming title defense. The house in front is his own, and the gym is his backyard. Every day, he is put through his paces by longtime trainer Joven Jimenez, who is preparing Ancajas for what they believe is their big break. A great performance against Mexican challenger Israel Gonzalez in the United States in what is their first fight under Bob Arum's Top Rank promotion could be a career in the making. And the pair wants to make the most of the opportunity. They aren't just fighting to retain the title. They are looking to win the crowd.
Gusto namin talaga suntukan talaga. Draw talaga gusto namin papakita. Gusto namin ma-impress talaga yung Top Rank, ma-impress yung mga matchmaker namin, yung mga tao doon sa US.
Expectations are high for Ancajas, who is always compared to boxing great Manny Pacquiao. Both fighters are southpaws, come from a tough upbringing, and have a penchant for finishing fights early. Ancajas admits there is pressure from all the comparisons, but he feels Pacquiao's achievements are impossible to replicate.
Natuto ako na ikumpara nga sa kay Sir Manny, pero para sa loob ko, sir, parang ang hirap sir, kumbasan yung nagawa ni Sir Manny sa boxing ko.
This is Ancajas' fourth title defense after stopping Jamie Conlon in 6 rounds in Belfast last November. Ancajas and Jimenez admit they haven't seen too much of Israel Gonzalez, but say that they are ready for whatever the challenger will bring to the ring. The Filipino is favored to retain his title, but just like Pacquiao so many times before, he refuses to give predictions of how the fight will go. Instead, he prefers to let his gloves do the talking.
Kasi ako, sir, hindi ako bitaw talaga ng salita na i-direkta talaga na ganito lang, ganyan lang. Gusto kong abangan nila kung ano pang mapapakita ko sana sa ibabaw ng ring.
The Ancajas-Gonzalez bout is the co-main event to the Gilberto Ramirez and Habib Ahmed super middleweight title bout. Ancajas will try to make a splash on his debut on U.S. soil on February 3rd at the Bank of America Center in Corpus Christi, Texas. Paulo Del Rosario, CNN Philippines.
In Hollywood, the 24th Screen Actors Guild Awards will have a host this year, and that's a first. Signing on is actress Kirsten Bell. This will be her first solo award show hosting gig, and she says she's honored and at the same time nervous. Producers said they chose not to have a host before so they could dedicate the time to the people they're honoring. The SAG Awards happen Sunday night in the U.S. That's Monday morning in Manila. Social media sensation and TV star Maine Mendoza makes another record, this time in the makeup industry. She announced on Instagram she's creating her own lipstick shade thanks to MAC Cosmetics. She's the first Filipina chosen to collaborate with the international makeup brand. One netizen says she deserves it with the hashtag #MainForMac. Another fan warns MAC, though, you will be overwhelmed with orders once the lipstick comes out. Be prepared to have a lot of stocks available. While this one hopes Maine's lipstick shade will match her skin tone. That's what's happening in the newsroom this Saturday, January 20. I'm Mai Rodriguez.